Alright guys, I'm going to show you how to set up your grid on your chosen photograph. Okay? For our photograph, we're going to use 1/2 inch marks to make our grid. So the 1/2 inch is halfway between 1 and 2. Okay, so in between each whole number, there's a half number, and that's the second longest line. That's what I'm paying attention to. This one right here. So I'm going to line up my ruler edge along the bottom of my photograph, and at every 1/2 inch, I'm going to put a point. So I'm going to move from 0 to 1/2. I'm going to put a line. I'm going to move from the 1/2 to the whole, 1. I'm going to put another line. I'm going to move from 1 to 1 1/2, put another line. 1 1/2 to 2, put a line, and so on. So I need to go 2 1/2, 3, 3 1/2, 4, 4 1/2, 5, 5 1/2, 6, and I'm going to end at 6 1/2 because that's about the edge of my paper. I need to do this along my other axis as well. So I'm going to turn my paper. I want to make sure I'm starting at 0. So I'm going to turn it this way so I have my 0 at 0. And I'm going to do the same thing along the edge. I'm going to go from 0 to 1/2, put a line, 1/2 to 1, 1 1/2, 2, 2 1/2, 3, 3 1/2, 4, 4 1/2. Now, my 4 1/2 goes a little bit above in my sky, and that's okay. I need that extra box so that my measurements work out for my final draft. And in my final draft, that negative space will just be extra sky. In order to get a straight line, I need to have a point on the opposite side of my paper for both axes. So I'm going to need to measure my 1/2 inch boxes again on each side of my photograph. Okay, so again, I'm lining up with the edge of my picture. I'm going to go from 0 to 1/2, whole, 1/2, whole, 1/2, whole, 1/2, whole, 1/2, ending at 4 1/2 again. Now these 2 points from my 2 axes will connect to make a straight line, and that is going to be the top of my picture frame. So I'm going to line my ruler up with both lines, and I'm going to trace the line. I can do that with this one also. I'm going to line these 2 up, trace my line, and I'm going to do that going all the way down. I'm trying my best to find my line. Hopefully you can see my pencil pretty clear. And here's my last one for this axis. Okay, I now need to, along the top of my picture frame, do the same thing, and I want to make sure I'm starting from 0 again. So I'm going to line my ruler up with the edge of the picture, and I'm going 1/2 inch marks again. So 1/2, whole, 1/2, whole, 1/2, whole, 1/2, whole, 1/2, whole, 1/2, whole, 1/2, ending on 6 1/2 at the end. So now I'm going to match up these 2 points, okay? So I have on the top of my paper and on the bottom. I'm going to line my ruler up between those 2 points, and I'm going to connect my line all the way through. Do you see how we're starting to get a grid pattern? We're starting to create boxes, okay? So I'm going to continue that all the way through. And this one's kind of hard to find, but I think I see it right there. Yeah, that looks straight. There. There. my very last one rounds out my picture frame. All right, so I have a nice grade going on in my picture now. The very last thing I need to do is label my axes so that I can look at the coordinates of each box for when I draw. So, along my x-axis, I'm going to label with numbers. So that's my horizontal going across the bottom. So I'm going to start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I have 13 boxes going across my x-axis. So that I don't get confused with numbers, I'm going to label my y-axis with letters. Starting at our 0 point, I'm going to start with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Okay? So now I can look and plot coordinates. So in box A1, I have this texture here for this road. So all I would need to translate are maybe some of these texture lines. Okay? For my first clear line, I see I have a line that starts in the B1 box, and it continues to the bottom corner of B2, or B into A2, over into A3. Okay, so that's kind of what we're using our coordinates to do, and that will make more sense once we look at the final draft.